Hello everyone, this is Gemini Jets 1975 coming at you with this special video today. Gemini Jets 37 requested that I do a video about, step-by-step video about how I built and designed my model airport. So let me get started. As far as equipment, you need a straight edge ruler. I recommend one of these type. And then I guess you could use a regular ruler. You need a good X-Acto knife for cutting. You need a cutting board, like a craft cutting board. Paper, okay, you're going to need white shipping labels. If you can get a package with just a couple, I'd recommend that. You're going to need glossy photo paper, inkjet, glossy inkjet paper. And then you're also going to need paper for the ground foils. You're going to need, let's see, this is 110-pound index paper. So I like the 110-pound weight. It's nice and heavy. Okay. Obviously, the very first thing you're going to need is your board. So here, this is like, I think this should be like 1/2 inch. Okay, it's 3/4. Yeah, you can't measure. Okay, so we got 3/4 inch plywood, the standard sheet. And then you're going to want to design. I did not, okay, but don't do it my way because I had an existing airport. If you have an existing airport and you know exactly what you want to do and you're going to use the buildings you currently have, then skip this step. But if you do not and you're starting from scratch, design several mock designs on paper. Get an idea of what you're looking at. Next, after you do that, you want to build several terminal buildings. Get an idea of about how many you're going to need and build them. And you'll understand that in a minute. But build the terminal buildings, and then once you do that, probably the first thing I would do, if you really have, if this is the first time and you really have no idea what, if your layout is gonna work, once you build your terminal buildings, then lay them out on your board like what your mock design said, and see what the layout's going to look like, see if you like it. And when you finally get one that you think will fit, then you can start the really nitty-gritty planning, or the nitty-gritty construction. Because the first thing you're going to want to do are your runway/runways and taxiway/taxiways. So, you're going to print, I would print your runways and your taxiways, and then you're going to print whatever other design elements that you want. Like, here's the tarmac roadway, your parking pads, your shipping labels are going to be for your gate numbers. You're going to want to print, at least, I printed 2 copies, probably 1 or 2 copies of the gate numbers. And then you're going to want to print tarmac, your roadway, and then any other design elements that you think you're going to want to put, into your airport. So lay out your terminals, lay out your runway and your taxiway, and then make sure that the runway and the taxiway will fit with the way that your terminal buildings are laid out. If you're well, just to double check, okay? If you're 100% sure, go ahead and glue down your runway and your taxiways. But if you're not, then get some of your tarmac roadway and your parking pads and lay them out around your terminal buildings like this to make sure that it all fits within the design confines of your runway. Because what I did, I have the main taxi lines, you know, the runway, the grass, the main taxi lines, and then I have the roadway. So I have a taxiway between, you know, the grass medians and my terminal roadway, and then I have enough space for planes to go by, plus the parking pads at the gates. So lay out a few things to make sure it all fits, and once you are pretty sure it's going to fit, then glue down your runway and your taxiways. That's going to be very important. And then once you get that, and then you can start detailed work on the areas around your terminal buildings. So like over here at the Delta terminal, I've got the main taxiway, and then I've got some space, and then I've got the tarmac roadway, and then inside of that I've got my parking pads, and it all fit based off of, you know, I moved everything around to make sure it fits. So once you get your taxiway and your runway down, and then design, you know, if you don't want your tarmac roadway, then, you know, forget this step. But if you do, make sure you leave enough space between the roadway and your parking pads, because if you look at, like when I was at DFW, I wanted to make sure that I kind of got it realistic. A lot of times your roadway is on the outside of the gate numbers and the parking pads. So at some airports, the guideline for the gate or the parking position will run through the tarmac roadway. At some airports it does, some it doesn't. So make sure you can fit your roadway on the outside, and then there's enough room for your parking pads and then the terminal. So that's kind of where, you know, a little bit of careful planning goes into making this work. Okay, so once you get your layout and, you know, you're confident that at least the one terminal you're looking at is fine, then you're going to want to, and once you get the parking pads in, okay, you can fit anything up to a 757 on with winglets on a narrow body parking pad, and then all the others, I don't know about the A380, sorry guys, I don't have one yet, but all the others except possibly the A380 on the wide body parking pad. And 777s will kind of, especially the LR, because of the wingtips, will go right to the edge of the red and white caution lines that are around, you know, your pad. Okay. And then jetways, you know, you can worry about that later depending on whether you're going to have them or not. And then once you get that figured out, then start gluing down. I glued down my roadway first because I knew exactly how I wanted it laid out. First thing I glued down after the taxiway and runway was my roadway. And then I started filling in everything else after that. So, Terminal A over here, I have my roadway, and then I started laying out my parking positions. I tried to fit in literally as many parking as gates as I could, so I started fitting in parking pads and excuse me, lining them in so that I could fit in as many as possible. And then when I thought I had that, then I started putting in mock, jetway positions, because you have to cut the jetway, you cut the hole into the balsa wood with your X-Acto knife to put the jetway in, like that. So, before I glued down the pads, I did that. And then, once I figured out where I was going to put the jetways, and I had my parking positions lined up just so, then I started gluing those down, and that was a pretty big pain. And then you could, there's two ways you could do the parking positions. Either glue them down and then worry about what other tarmac you're going to put underneath, or around it rather, or glue down your tarmac and then put down the parking pads on top of that. It's up to you. I did a little bit of both. So, and you have to do, depending on the layout of your airport, like mine, I had to do that with each concourse. I had to do A, B, C, and then finally D. I had to position the parking pads so that they fit just right, so that I could put in the maximum number of gates. And that's basically, I don't know if that's quite detailed enough, but it took probably a week to 2 weeks to do the expansion, and then the original airport, because I had a lot of extra time during that period. It only took me, I don't know, it took me about a week to do the original layout. So it's time consuming and it's a little bit complicated, but if you don't like the Gemini mat and how it's limited on space, you're really going to want to design your own layout. When I first started, I didn't think I was advanced enough to do my own layout, so I just did the Gemini mat, partly because I was lazy and didn't want to do my own. And then when the expansion was that I originally put in was too small, I expanded it further. And then after that, I decided that was nowhere near enough room, so I took it up and completely designed my own. So, to recap, and I'll try to do this briefly, you first design an airport layout on paper, several of them in case one doesn't work. Then lay out your runway and your taxiways. Make sure, once you lay out your runway and your taxiways, do a mock layout of your terminal to make sure that it fits. Once you have decided that your terminals, that there's enough space, keeping in mind if you're going to have tarmac taxiways, glue down your runway and your taxiways. And then if you're going to have the road on your tarmac, then fit that into your terminal so that the gate parking positions fit inside of the roadway, up against, like this, basically the roadway, where is it? The roadway here, your parking pads right up against the terminal. So you're going to want to lay out the roadway with the terminals to make sure that everything fits, and then some parking pads. If you have to cut a little bit off of them, like I had to on several, then that's okay. So make sure it all fits before you glue it. Then glue your roadway if you're going to have that, and then start gluing parking pads once you get those laid out exactly where you want your parking pads. And then depending on how many concourses you have, just go down and do that with each individual one. It may take a while, but you know, it's worth it in the long run because it makes, you know, it makes the airport look very realistic. So outside of that, guys, I think that is probably the only things that I can think of. I think this was over 250 sheets of cardstock, and I used almost all of it on this. Let me show, let's see over here, on the expansion. So you have these parking pads, and then this I had to piece together because I didn't have enough, because my printer ran out of ink. I didn't have enough pads, concrete pads, to have whole ones, but it's harder to see over here, so that doesn't bother me so much. And like down there, I have that piece of bare wood because the terminal covers it. So if you have to do that, and I have that in a couple other places, you know, don't worry about covering the whole board unless you really absolutely want to. So, but anyways, guys, I really hope this helps. It was a little bit, you know, long of a video. Excuse me. Gosh. A little bit long of a video, but thank you guys for watching. Please don't hesitate to ask any questions if something doesn't make sense or you want more info. I also have another video on how to build a 1-400 model airport, and I also have a video on how to build one of these gate buildings, which is what Airport Diorama Designs called. Oh, that's right, guys. All of this stuff, the ground foils, the terminal foils, the numbers, the parking pads, all of that, that was all purchased from airport-diorama-designs.com. That's airport-diorama-designs.com. So, sorry about not mentioning that earlier. So, anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. Again, don't hesitate to ask any questions. If I went too fast or didn't cover enough of something, and I will answer them to the best of my ability. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. We're evening, Christmas night. I hope everyone had a fantastic holiday. And videos coming up. I've got quite a few classic models to review, and plus I have the December releases whenever they decide to come in. And I think that should do it, guys. So again, like, comment, subscribe. Thank you for watching as always. And if you have a model, or if you know I have a model you'd like me to review, please comment below. I know I promised somebody the Ethiopian 76300, so I didn't forget about you. I'd still need to review that. So, see you guys in the next video, and thank you guys so much for watching. Bye.